Oh, oh, hi. Didn't expect you would be here at this particular time. Well, somehow, this is actually perfect timing. You see, just yesterday I came across this privated video that I seemingly made back in 2021. I never really remember making this video, but I thought it was interesting because it was Undertale themed? I never truly came across Undertale until like 2022, so this was interesting. Also, me in the video also talks about Undertale like it's dark and the only route is genocide? I've only watched a little bit, so. Well, I guess you could watch it and tell me if it's worth watching or not. Here you go. Uh, have fun, I guess? Do you remember a game called Undertale? Sorry, that was probably a bad question. I should have said, have you ever heard of a game called Undertale? I don't blame you if you've never heard of it before. It was a small game made by Toby Fox, based on a game he really enjoyed. The original idea itself was held to high acclaim before it was even released. The Kickstarter for the game even reaching over 9 times more than the asking amount. After the game was released, though, well, it wasn't what we expected. After almost, well, after an almost unbearable wait time of multiple years full of hope for the game, it was a lot less than expected. It was still a great game, no doubt about that, but it didn't really reach expectations. And that led to the game overall flopping. I personally have always been fascinated by the wonders of Undertale, and I decided that I would make a video on it. The perfect opportunity came to me, to make this video was when I found this iceberg image, in which I decided I would explain it. Anyways, I'm guessing you guys want to get this started, so without further ado, let the Undertale iceberg begin. Undertale. It's what this iceberg is made about. Undertale is a game created solely by Toby Fox, released in 2020 to very little praise, a depressing result to the Kickstarter amount. The game consists of a nameless child who goes through a monster-infested underground and must kill all creatures he comes upon. Some of the boss fights are genuinely saddening though, which is why not many people appreciated the game. Earthbound. Earthbound is a game that Toby Fox made mods for before his work on Undertale. He loved the game, and after his work with Undertale was finished, he went back to making mods for this game. Some aspects of Undertale consist parallels to Earthbound, most notably the character Papyrus having the Starman logo on his chest. Undyne, Sans, and Flowey. Undyne, Sans, and Flowey are the 3 true bosses of Undertale, bosses that are necessary to continue the story along its path. Undyne in Waterfall, Sans in the corridor, and Flowey in the throne room. Final boss of Undertale. The final boss of Undertale that takes place right before the end of the game is, of course, against Photoshop Flowey. The initiation of the fight has Flowey killing Asgore and saying, "Like I'd let you get that kind of power," and absorbing all of the 6 souls, causing the player to be sent into a fight against Photoshop Flowey with Your Best Nightmare in the background. Before the fight begins, There is a black screen with only Flowey's face and dialogue of him ridiculing the player for killing everyone in the underground, and him realizing that he shouldn't have helped you in the first place. The fight consists of pellet attacks, vine attacks, shuriken attacks, flamethrower attacks, fly attacks, green worm attacks, bomb attacks, finger gun attacks, and of course, plat attacks. The fight takes a stupid amount of time to complete, usually around an hour at least. If you don't die, that is. You will eventually whittle down his health and defeat him once and for all. Main sections. The main sections of the game are as follows: Ruins, Snowy, Waterfall, Hotland, Hotel, Core, New Home, Corridor, and Throne Room. Most of these sections are not anything special, containing nothing particularly interesting. Death and killing. Undertale as a game very much promotes the ideals of killing, even from the very beginning of the game. Toriel encourages you to hurt anyone in your path, Papyrus attempts to help you get stronger, Flowey tries to help you at first, and even small characters like Metaton Neo and Muffet encourage you to kill them. This ideal of Undertale has made people not quite appreciate the game because even though the game encourages it, monster death in the game is still hard to watch for many. Backtracking. In Undertale, it is widely accepted that backtracking is an inexcusable sin in the underground because of what happens whenever you do backtrack, to any extent in Undertale. Upon backtracking any amount of rooms in Undertale, even only one room, a small white dog will appear at the side of the room that you did not enter from and run at you, causing you to enter a battle. Whenever you do enter this battle with a backtracking dog, an attack similar to the one Sans uses if you do not always use the fight button and his fight will occur, immediately killing the player and causing them to reset their entire game. Man, was this annoying. Gosh. But nobody came. This is not only a song on the Undertale soundtrack, but also sort of an achievement for emptying out an entire main section of the underground of monsters. After you have killed every monster in a main section, you will regularly encounter an empty enemy encounter screen that says nothing but nobody came, causing the song But Nobody Came to play. Kindness glitch. This is a rumor that has been spread around the Undertale community that the previously stated lines of dialogue from monsters encouraging killing and death sometimes can have a glitch that allows them to encourage kindness, like Toriel telling the player that they should not fight monsters and Papyrus allowing the player to be helped by him, but not to kill, and even allowing the players to use kind actions against monsters through the act button. This is a confirmed rumor and a strange glitch. Fourth button. To anyone who has ever explored the Undertale fighting menu, you would know that there are three main buttons on the menu: fight, act, and item. But it also appears that there is room for a fourth button. I, like many other players, went over to see if there was a fourth button and realized that there is. The fourth button can be hovered over, emitting the same red outline that there is upon a selected. The fourth button can be hovered over. Oh, I already said that. Whoops. But upon attempts to use this button, or even lead the button at all, the game will crash and lead you to your last save point. Out of place music. With Undertale's very dark tones, some of its music seems to be very out of place from the sad atmosphere. Some songs I chose that felt out of place are Sans, Nyahaha, Spider Dance, Power of Neo, and probably more. These kinds of songs were likely used by Toby Fox to convey a feeling of happiness being ripped away from the underground due to your actions. Thanks, bro. Undertale OST. Most of the Undertale OST consists of remarkable songs, but they all mostly contribute to a slow and sad atmosphere, especially that of Another Medium and Core. The most loved songs from the Undertale OST are the boss themes, many players liking main boss themes like Battle Against a True Hero, Power of Neo, Megalovania, and of course, Your Best Nightmare. My personal favorite song from the Undertale OST would have to be the Goner fight theme because of its mysterious yet upbeat tone. Goners. The Goners, or Gaster followers, in question are one of the only NPCs you can encounter in the underground. Encountering them will allow their dialogue to appear, mostly telling the tale of the renowned Dr. Gaster. The only Goner not talking about Gaster being Gonerkid. Gonerkid himself is an interesting character because of his design being close to that of Monster Kid. Alphys. Wow. Alphys is a character only talked about at length by characters in the underground as a hero who helps bring most of the monster population into safety. Alphys' design is unknown, but we do know that Alphys is likely a strong and confident character because of their actions taken in Undertale. Alphys also likely worked in the lab in Hotland because of Metaton's dialogue of Alphys not being present in the lab. The two most notable characters who speak of Alphys in Undertale are Undyne and Metaton. Blank left. This is a piece of text that will pop up whenever you look at your save spot, reading how many monsters you have yet to kill. This line of dialogue will also appear if you enter the room before a major event happens in one of the main sections of the underground, likely before a boss. This dialogue will also force you to stay in the room to encounter all the remaining monsters in that room alone. Whew. Dr. Gaster. Dr. Gaster, or W.D. Gaster, is one of the better known characters in Undertale, especially from all of the Goners that you will eventually encounter on your journey. The story of Dr. Gaster is that he was an incredibly intelligent doctor who one day fell into the core and disappeared without a trace, causing Asgore to rehire Alphys as the main royal scientist. We also learned that about Gaster a lot more in Waterfall, where you can find Gaster's room and speak with him, where he only says one thing: the experiment was a success. After decades of working, I defeated the darkness. I have harnessed the darkness. Nothing but brightness is in our future. Nobody to this extent has figured out what this means, but there are constant theories being made on Dr. Gaster. Sans is the final boss. This is a popular story among the Undertale community, shared to the community by TemmyTem21X on Twitter. The story consists of Temtem loading up their game of Undertale and going through the game like normal, until she made it to the throne room. In the throne room, Temtem quickly beat down Asgore, but when Flowey shows up, he says something completely different. Flowey begs for his life, saying, "See, I never betrayed you. It was all a trick, see? I was waiting to kill him for you. After all, it's me, your best friend. I am helpful. I can be useful to you. I promise I won't get in your way. I can help. I can. I can. Please don't kill me." And after Flowey's sad dialogue, without the player's input, Flowey is slashed over and over until he is completely in shrivels. This is likely a hoax, but Temtem describes the occurrence in enough detail to make a person wonder, was this true and Sans was the final boss? Your best nightmare. Your Best Nightmare, being the final boss theme of Undertale, is a widely respected theme of Undertale. This theme has been brought up highly in the Undertale community, even some saying that it's the best song from the OST. Being the funny ugly flower theme, Your Best Nightmare has been brought up to high meme status, also receiving many remixes in the Undertale fandom. Thinking back to the Sans is the final boss entry, I really wonder what the world would be like if Megalovania was the final theme of Undertale and got this high prestige. Inconsistent damage. In Undertale, higher LV and EXP causes you to have more of a powerful attack against monsters, but sometimes when fighting bosses, this damage will be oddly inconsistent. On normal monster encounters, you will usually do around 20 to 50 damage, but mainly against Toriel, Papyrus, Muffet, and Asgore, you will do around 20,000 to 9 billion damage. This has been theorized to be possibly tied to Kara, or maybe even just having stronger attacks against the bosses. Kara in the red text. Kara is the character you meet at the end of Undertale, telling you about how you awakened them from death and have been working with them as a partner. Teased by things like the mirror dialogue, "It's me, Kara." This dialogue and other dialogue pieces in red are generally perceived to be Kara speaking instead of the player, which is interesting because of statements like, "Where are the knives?" and "Nothing useful here," making Kara seem like the main antagonist, especially because of Kara's main actions in the end of Undertale, killing the player. Oh yeah, at the end of Undertale, Kara also erases the world of Undertale entirely? Goner Kid. Goner Kid is a member of the 4 Goners that you can encounter in Undertale, but he has a noticeable difference from the other Goners. Goner Kid has a design very close to a character pivotal to the story, that being Monster Kid. Goner Kid is also the only Goner found in Waterfall, his room being on a bridge overlooking the waters below. Goner Kid, unlike the other Goners, does not talk about Gaster in his dialogue, and instead has these lines. "Have you ever thought about a world where everything is exactly the same, except you don't exist? Everything functions perfectly without you." The thought terrifies me. And if you bring Goner Kid an umbrella... An umbrella? But it's not raining. You know, that does make me feel a little better about this. Thank you. Please forget about me. Stall spare. Stall sparing is an act you can use in Undertale by constantly using the act button to insult the monster over and over without actually fighting them. If you use this against normal random monster encounters, after about 3 insults the monster will run away crying. Some players have tried starting stall spare routes, but since you must kill a certain amount of monsters to progress through main sections, and stall sparing not being useful in boss encounters, this is only a way to gain special dialogue about you not killing any monsters. But that entry is later. Goner fights. The previously mentioned Goners also act as a sort of secret boss in their own special ways. To initiate a Goner fight, you must answer no to all their questions at the end of their dialogue. These questions are, in order, don't you think Don't you think Dr. Gaster should come back? Don't you think Dr. Gaster was a good royal scientist? And finally, don't you think Gaster was a good person? These bits of dialogue only progressing to the next if you answer no to each question. Because if you answer yes, they will let you continue on with your journey. The Goner fights that ensue are all special to each Goner. The Goner holding a piece of Gaster attacking with pieces to a puzzle that attempt to connect together in the soul's box. The Goner before Muffet using attacks that are very sudden and the Goner before Muffet using mainly attacks with electricity bolts and scientific beakers, and the Goner at floor 2 using attacks that are very sudden and quick, along with ears and circles with faces similar to that of Gaster. These Goner fights are quite difficult, along the line of difficulty like that of Undying, but their deaths are very interesting. From personal experience, I can tell you these fights take very long. Goner Kid fight. The Goner Kid fight is significantly different from all the other Goner fights. Unlike other Goner fights, Goner Kid's fight is started a lot different from the other Goner Kid fight. The Goner fights. Because really, it isn't a fight. Wherever Goner Kid, Whenever Goner Kid asks you if Dr. Gaster should come back and you answer no, you will automatically be sent into a fight with him. A slower version of the Goner theme playing and the only dialogue reading, please don't talk about him like that. If you fight him, he will immediately die, unlike the other Goners. So the only true way you can fight him is through stall sparing, and he will fight you through Miscop-like attacks where a smaller sprite of him will sit in the bottom of the box and use the letters of please to attack. If you continue to stall spare him, the game will eventually kill him out of nowhere for you. Sadness and relived depression. Many Undertale players in the community have brought to light an unknown issue for them in the game. These players have either had or are experiencing depression, and it is said that these players will be brought back into the same depression upon finishing their playthrough of Undertale. Now, it's normal for a player of Undertale to experience deep sadness while playing, leading to many sad flowy memes, but it is interesting that this is happening to people with depression. This phenomenon is likely a coincidence though, because Undertale can't possibly cause people to relive their depression, right? The Angel and the Prophecy of the Delta Rune. The Legend of the Angel and Prophecy of the Delta Rune are 2 bits of world-building information brought to us by a shopkeeper in Waterfall by the name of Gerson Boom. The legend of the angel was a legend believed by most monsters that one day an angel would descend into the underground and bring freedom to the underground. But the people of the underground have also been known to interpret the angel's freedom as freeing the monsters from their mortal selves, nicknaming the angel as the Angel of Death. The Delta Rune, or emblem of the kingdom of monsters, has been theorized to be representing the legend of the angel, with the angel in the sky, and possibly 3 special monsters below, likely Undyne, Sands, and Flowey. Gaster Room Figures. In the Gaster Room, it is obvious to many players that there seems to be around 7 figures of different shapes in the background. These figures aren't really easy to try to figure out who they are or who they might be, but many theorists have compared them to the 6 souls along with the player's soul. This might mean that Gaster has a connection with the souls in the player, but other people have noted that the first figure has a type of design reminiscent of a clown or jester. These figures will forever be shrouded in mystery. Abandoned shop notes. In most of the shops, most notably the Snowdon Town Shop, Waterfall Shop, and Pre-Hotel Shop, all have been abandoned, likely because of Elphys, and have left notes. They've all left notes. The Snowdon Shop has a very disturbing note of begging you not to kill their family. The Waterfall Shop, after Gerson's saying in confusing language, "Don't take my money, I need it for college." And the final shop, before Hotel, has a set of 2 notes for seemingly 2 characters, retelling their need to use up their pens. It's interesting that these shops were abandoned, but Gerson's and Burger Pants' shops have not been abandoned. That comedian. That comedian is in reference to a bit of dialogue you can get if you have made it to the room right before Snowdon Town, but have somehow never killed any snowdrakes. Because of Snowdrake trying to become a comedic character in battle, it is obvious that Kara is talking about Snowdrake. You know, he is that comedian. Redacted content, or redacted content. Redacted content is in reference to a vast amount of redacted content found in Undertale's code. There are many other assets, rooms, characters, songs, and even bosses that have been redacted from Undertale's main experience. The redactedness of this content is strong though, because all the data miners could find out from these redacted assets is really just what all they could figure out is what I've already said. Some have theorized that this could have been an old and scrap version of the game that he redacted, or possibly even DLC. But since Undertale never took off, the content had never had a chance to be used. Also, the reason it's called redacted content is sort of a joke among the Undertale community, because all the unused content is under the file name redacted, and is all named redacted. Maybe Toby did this, or maybe Toby did have some use for this content after all. Who knows? Sorry, I just decided that I would put this in right here. Console port issues. Due to the dark contents of the game, such as committing mass murder because of a forced aspect of overbearing murderers, there have been very interesting console port problems. Nintendo refused to add this to their Nintendo eShop because of it causing sadness upon players, and other smaller consoles like Xbox and PlayStation refused to sell it. Although one of them almost considered it because of the dark content being close to what they wanted for their console. For these reasons, you can only play Undertale on PC. Anyways, back to Dog Village. Dog Village. In the light up mushroom path section of Waterfall, there is a secret path, which is known by many, but there has been an unknown rumor spread of a secret dog village in the path. Unlike the normal room, with the abandoned shop and mushroom NPC that judges you, someone unknown reports going into the path where they encounter a strange dog village. The dog species seems to call themselves Temmies, and they speak similarly to who wrote the note at the abandoned shop, most telling the player that their name is Temmie, one named Bob, and one having an allergic reaction. This story also says that the player who went this way entered the shop and was subjected to different music and a shopkeeper similar to the dogs outside. This is an interesting folktale among the Undertale community, but it is likely fake because of no proof of it being real. Goner Kid Undyne Skip. This is a strategy proposed by Chad Rose 3 on r/underskips, where you could follow a series of steps to avoid your encounter with an Undyne. What you would need to do is bring an umbrella to Goner Kid in Waterfall, avoid fighting him, then once up against Monster Kid, you would need to stall spare him until Undyne comes, telling you, "You're not so bad," and avoiding the boss altogether. Unfortunately, this is untrue, and doing so will still lead you to Undyne's fight. Final boss foreshadowing. Throughout Undertale, many players have noticed that there are many foreshadowing elements to the final boss, Photoshop Flowey, placed all around Undertale. Most noticeable foreshadowing elements being waterfall patterns that are very similar to Photoshop Flowey's attacks, Gift Trot's face being in the general same design as Photoshop Flowey's face, and of course, most noticeably, the red and rusty machine above Dr. Gaster in his special room in Waterfall being extremely similar to that of Photoshop Flowey's face. There is and are, or yeah, there is probably no lore implications to these inclusions, but likely just Toby wanting to foreshadow the final boss of the game. A better world. This is an interesting reoccurring theme in Undertale, being used all throughout the game. Most notably, when Photoshop Flowey is defeated, he goes on to speak about how he tried to save monster kind despite his previously evil intentions. And in his final words, he speaks about wishing for a better world for him and his friends somewhere else. Sans alludes to this better world in his boss fight dialogue, stating things such as, "Look, I stopped trying to go back a long time ago, and getting to the surface doesn't really appeal anymore. We'll just end up right back here, without any memory of it, right?" And finally, there has been a real evidence that when looking into the redacted content of Undertale, there's a 20% chance for the content to be named A Better World, instead of redacted content. This has obviously led to many theories of a world where the player doesn't exist that is almost accessible by the monsters, but is not. Sans 19 Conspiracy. The Sans 19 Conspiracy is a hoax that started a while after the release of Undertale, where people would report being diagnosed with COVID-19 while fighting Sans. This was likely a hoax because of the absolute insanity one would have to go through to believe this myth, but many people started claiming to get Sans 19. This was an outrage in the Undertale community, and thankfully the one who started this trend, who will remain nameless, eventually called out his accusation to be a hoax based on a true story, stating that he simply got done fighting Sans but then got the news that he had the virus. From then on, he illustrated the story to the community, and well, the rest is history. Goner deaths. Goner deaths is an interesting subject to speak of because, well, they seemingly can't die when fighting them. Any person who has fought a Goner before would be able to tell you the kind of confusion they went through when trying to attack the Goners at the first attempt. When you attack any Goner aside from Goner Kid, the attack will register as an actual attack, but the Goner's health will remain untouched. Many people have tried to see, such as myself, if the Goner's health are just incredibly high, and fought them for hours trying to whittle down their HP at least a little, but nothing happens. With this in mind, what could this entry possibly mean? Well, once people stopped trying to attack the Goners to death, they attempted using the Act button, and as a little known fact, if you speak highly of Gaster using the Act button in the Goner fights 66 times, the Goner will spare you, in which you can actually kill them. Upon killing them, their faces will turn oddly like Gaster's for a split second and phase out of reality, never to be seen in your run again, even if you go back to any previous save file. Goner Kid death. Goner Kid's death is much more depressing from the other Goner deaths, their deaths mainly being disturbing instead of sad. As I previously stated in Tier 3, Goner Kid's fight isn't even really a fight, and you can't stall spare him, so the player likely just attacks Goner Kid instead. Upon attacking Goner Kid, he will get a rip in his shirt, similar to Toriel, and say this as his pixels slowly spread apart. No, my worst fear is it's coming true. Actually, maybe this is better for this way. After saying this, Goner Kid's pixels, one by one, will spread across the screen as your choice slowly sets in. The pixel separation time is very long, exactly a minute, 6 seconds, and a little more than 5 milliseconds. Upon killing Goner Kid, the player will notice something very different on their next playthrough. Goner Kid will be, well, gone, only to be seen in a playthrough after that. Mettaton Neo Ultra Secret Boss Fight. Mettaton Neo Ultra Secret Boss Fight is, well, another strategy proposed by Chad Rose 3, where you would be able to get a full special Mettaton Neo fight by following a very specific set of rules. You would need to kill Goner Kid in Waterfall, only fight one of the 3 Goners in Hotland, making one of the remaining 2 almost fight you, attempt to stall spare Muffet for 30 minutes, then kill her, then finally eat the Mettaton steak before fighting him. I've personally tried this and can fully confirm that this is 100% a hoax. Chad Rose, you fooled us again. Secret Gaster Fight. Many have theorized that because of the Goners and even Goner Kid speaking so highly of Gaster, if you somehow manage to kill every single Goner, including Goner Kid, you will achieve a Gaster Fight, either at the end of the game or if you meet him again after your work is done. This would make sense on paper, so I actually tried this grueling attempt myself, only to figure out that no such thing was added to the game. I even did the same route just without killing Goner Kid, but still nothing happened. Just be grateful that I was this extensive in my research for this video. Soul Death. A little detail only some have pointed out in the Undertale community is that you can actually go back and fight the souls that Photoshop Flowey releases at the end of his boss fight. If you go back to the coffin room before the barrier room where you meet Kara, you will see all 6 souls standing around that final empty coffin. The player then gets put into a fight sequence between the helpless souls and the player where the player cannot do anything but kill each and every single one of the souls. This does absolutely nothing to the plot or anything that happens in the end of Undertale. It's just sad. Earthbound Dark. Earthbound Dark, a series that started in September of 2021, is a popular Earthbound alternate reality-like series where the themes and situations of the game have been massively made to be more mature, depressing, and dark. This series somehow was created to high acclaim, beginning a following of darker realities with mature characters. That started things like Mushroom Stories, Call of Death, and of course, Monsters Caged. Many people have speculated that these projects, starting from Earthbound Dark, all originally were inspired by Undertale. Funnily enough, you know who's the executive producer of Earthbound Dark? That's right, Toby Fox. Sans' Promise. Directly before Sans' fight in Undertale, he says this: "Well, sorry old lady, this is why I never make promises." This line is confusing due to its complete randomness to be said by Sans. Many have theorized that this old lady is actually the Snowden showkeeper, or possibly even the Post-Gerson shopkeeper. But it is very likely that the old lady Sans is talking about is Toriel. She is the only old lady we've ever really seen in Undertale. But that just begs the question, what was Sans' promise? The leading theory to this matter is that Sans made a promise to Toriel not to kill the player, but this still doesn't make all that much sense. Zero killed, get to work. This line of dialogue can be reached if you stall spare every encounter you get before you enter the room directly before either an event or boss room. This line is read just like the blank left line, but many have pointed out that it has this uneasy pushiness to it. This line also further proves that there is no way to achieve a stall spare route in Undertale. Special fourth button route. This is a very interesting piece of information that I've just learned about because of this very iceberg. The special fourth button route is a route that the player can take if they so choose. To achieve this route, the player must stall spare every enemy encounter they have, technically not including the goners. Then, once entering the room before the event or boss room, they must get an encounter and use the fourth button on them. Like normal, the button will crash the game, but because of you being in the room before a boss or event room, it takes you exactly back to the very entrance of the room, just a little bit in the direction of the exit to the room. See where this is going? If you do this again, the player character's position will be slightly closer to the exit of the room again. If you continue to do this, you can actually eventually make it out of the room fully, meaning that you can actually get out of the room right before a boss or event room, meaning you can use this method to successfully spare all normal monster encounters, but you will still have to kill the boss characters. The interesting part of this route is that after using this method throughout every main section of the game, you will eventually be led to Photoshop Flowey, like normal, but his fight will be significantly different. Instead of being in a normal fight with the HUD and all that, the fight crashes your game, leads you to a save file owned by Flowey himself, and be subject to the normal evil Flowey we're all accustomed to. This fight, though, like I stated before, will be very different from the Photoshop Flowey fight in the main route. In this fight, you don't have your HUD, and when using your occasional fight button, you will do very little damage. But the most interesting part is yet to come. Every so often, a singular soul will put you in their very own section of fighting, but help you by healing you at the end. This process continues on until all souls are complete helping you, and you actually get transported to a screen completely separate from Flowey. All of the souls will then heal you up all together, and then after that, lower Photoshop Flowey's defense, allowing you to kill him properly. If you finish this fight, you won't actually be met with Kara at the end of the game. You will instead be sent back to your save file. Goner Kid fourth button dialogue. Goner Kid's fight is the only place in Undertale where your use of the hidden fourth button will not cause the game to crash. Instead, you will be greeted to his dialogue about this option. Goner Kid will first act surprised you know how to use the action you gave to him. Then thank you for your kindness, and finally ask you if you even knew what you just did. After that, his dialogue will be the same, and your use of the fourth button will be the same as before. This is a very interesting addition to the lore of Undertale, and could even be hinting at the secret fourth button route I discussed earlier. Flowey Plush Hoax. The Flowey Plush hoax, originating in Columbus, Ohio, was a telling of an overlooked affection with a Flowey plush a man had recently received in the mail. The person claims that he unboxed the Flowey plush with affection and happiness and played Undertale all night with the Flowey plush beside him. He eventually fell asleep, but woke up in the middle of the night to hear, and I quote, a line coming from inside the Flowey plush of a voice line slightly higher than Toriel saying, I always was a crybaby, wasn't I? The person then claims that he cried of solid sadness for the next 30 minutes until he eventually fell back asleep. This was probably just a hoax, but for some reason, I feel like it's not. Goner Kid 4th Button Secret Boss. With the connections of Goner Kid and the hidden 4th button, it was destined for people to believe you could get a secret boss if you used it correctly. In early 2021, a creator on YouTube known as Elu Speedrunner livestreamed a Goner Kid speedrun where they attempted to get a sub 40-minute Goner Kid encounter fight. Someone unknown in their chat suggested that they used the act button once and then directly after used the 4th button. Their chat only consisted of this one viewer, so Elu did just this and ended up being sent to a completely different boss. They appeared in a completely different section or screen where there was likely the player next to two other characters fighting with them, up against a clown-like jester on the right. The screen only appeared for a split second until the game crashed. Strangely enough, the jester looks eerily similar to that of the first guest room figure. Random unredacted content. This entry is in response to recent discoveries in Undertale's redacted code section, where some completely random characters, rooms, and songs were unredacted. These don't really mean anything because of their randomness, but I thought I might as well tell them to you. The unredacted content we got was an empty bedroom with action figures and a race car bed, a room reminiscent of the one before Kara room, but for some reason filled with characters such as Toriel, Sans, Papyrus, likely an overworld sprite for Undyne, a completely unknown character, and Asgore. One unredacted character was shown, that being a sprite similar to that of Metaton Neo if he had one, just a little different. Finally, a song was unredacted as well, that being a nice and kind of bittersweet yet encouraging song named Respite, the song that's playing right now. Respite's definition is a short period of rest or relief from something difficult or unpleasant. Maybe this was an alternate ending where you befriend all characters that you would normally kill to defeat Kara at the end of the game. All of this, for some reason, is actually kinda sad to hear about. Sans Sad Time Dream Phenomenon. This entry is very interesting due to its massive series of accounts and likely not being a hoax. The Sans Sad Time Dream Phenomenon is something that many people on YouTube claim to have experienced exactly the same. The dream is usually described as seeing Sans in a black void, similar to that of where he is in before he initiates his fight. He says, "You're gonna have a sad time." Some entries claiming that he says, "We're gonna have a sad time." Sans then falls to his knees and begins to cry before the player as a theme similar to Ruins plays, but is slower, has reverb, and is completely different from the original song. Sans then says with no text box, "Why? Why did you do this? Most accounts have the person experiencing the dream waking up and either feeling extremely sad or, in some cases, even crying. Due to this being a dream description, I can't really rule it out to be a hoax, and, well, I've actually had one of these dreams before, so I can actually prove this phenomenon to be true. Why was Undertale like this? I just wanted to play a fun and different RPG game where there was great music and, well, I guess I got what I wanted, but why did Undertale happen this way? Why couldn't there just be an option to, like, I don't know. Killing every monster in the underground is just, well, sad, okay? Why couldn't we just, like, not have to kill these guys? Who knows? Maybe even we make a full Stallsbear route? I don't know. Ending these poor monsters' lives make me feel like I'm ending a possible good time. A friendship, maybe? I don't know. This game just makes me sad, and I don't really know why so many people care so dang much about this. All you do is bring death and destruction upon the underground. The game punishes you for doing things that the game also pushes you to do. I'm sad. Secret friendship route. This is regarding an entry made by a person on Undertale's Reddit who would like to remain nameless. This person having a vivid dream about Undertale's very alternate route named the friendship route. I'll just read the post from here. So, like, I just had this wacky dream, right? Anyways, in this dream, I start a game of Undertale, but I've never actually played the game before. In the dream, I noticed that the fourth button is named Mercy and allows me to spare any monster I come across. I go through ruins, encountering various monsters with fun ways of sparing, and, of course, Toriel. I somehow defeat Toriel with kindness, and with a hug goodbye, I tearfully leave the underground to meet Sans and Priest Snowden. I have some fun laughs with Sans, and Papyrus's puzzles couldn't be more enjoyable and in character for the goofy skeleton. I end up talking with the various characters in Snowden who are beautifully fleshed out, and end up in my fight against Papyrus. At first, I'm a little anxious to fight my pal Papyrus, but I end up actually having a fun time with him, and we eventually spare each other, actually. I then go back to Papyrus's house to engage in a sort of date with him, where his charismatic goofiness softens his rejection of me. I then go to Undyne as Papyrus constantly tries to sway me away from fighting the hero. I eventually make it past Monster Kid and the bridge where I actually don't fight the kid, and instead fight Undyne as I run away and save her from dehydration in pre-Hotland. I then meet an awkwardly kind royal scientist named Alphys, who accidentally made a metal crusher to defeat any human who comes through. After a bunch of shenanigans and a fight against a money-hungry spider, I make it to fight Metaton EX, who is greatly humorous in his dance moves and understandable in him being the backbone of the underground. Alphys and I part, but first I go to become friends with Undyne, and get sent to a horribly sad abandoned lab with tortured amalgamates and learn more about Flowey's tragic backstory. I finally go up against the highly anticipated Asgore, but get stopped by all the friends I've made on the way, not allowing me to stop my goodness, friendships, and pacifism. Flowey then takes my friends and reveals himself to be Asriel Dreamer, Toriel and Asgore's son. I fight Asriel, refusing to die, and showing my pacifism to him all throughout. I help free my friends from his bondage and capturing, and I actually eventually defeat him. In his final actions, Asriel breaks the barrier, tearfully letting his friends have a chance at a better life. I then say goodbye to all of my friends once again, including Asriel, and escape the underground to the surface with my newfound family. I then become the ambassador for my friends to the humans on the surface, and, well, it was also nice. I had a good time, and I remember being genuinely happy at the end of the dream. When I woke up, I was crying. But not because I was sad. I was crying because of how emotionally perfect my dream was for me at the time. Ever since, I've hoped this very route was added to the game, but yeah. Just the amazing and awe-inspiring contrast between the route I experienced in my dream and the main route in Undertale in the real world, it's just insane. This dream I had really must have brought something from inside me. Something that I felt for a long time when playing Undertale. My wants to help the characters, not kill them. I don't know, maybe it's silly. Kinda cheesy, I guess, but I guess since this route will never truly be added into the game, unless that redacted content that is in Undertale's code is actually the pacifism that I had in the dream, which I doubt, but I guess that route will... I guess it'll just remain in my hopes and dreams. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Iceberg, and I'm sure if you're an Undertale fan as myself, you probably noticed that I used Undertale music for the entirety of this Iceberg video, all except for that last song. Ironically enough, this song was recently composed for Earthbound Dark, and I just had a feeling that this song perfectly fit the description of the final entry. And actually, also ironically, this song was composed by none other than Toby Fox himself. So I just thought it fit. As I said before, I hope you enjoyed the Iceberg. I know that it was going to be a sad one because of the themes of Undertale, but I hope that the final entry might have brought back up that hopeful feeling that the Kickstarter filled us all with a year ago. After this Iceberg and all of that, I'm probably going to take a break from Undertale and maybe even start to dive into the likes of Earthbound Dark, or possibly even some PvZ content. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and remember to like and subscribe, gamers! Oh, hi again. So, how was the video? I actually ended up watching the first tier of it, and it kind of made me feel strangely sad. I didn't really know how it was gonna get any better, but based on how you look, I mean, I guess now I should watch it. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Where are you going? You want to play Undertale? Well, alrighty then. Just tell me when you get to Papyrus. He was always my favorite character. Well, thanks for watching. This video took a long time to make and was generally a difficult one to make. And so, if you watched to this part, I applaud you and thank you for your commitment. See you next time, and always, as always, thank you for watching. Bye!